I'm Debbie.
And I'm Jan.
And this is the Villages 365.
And today we're going to do your questions answered.
That is correct. We do appreciate all your questions, just so you know, and this lets you know we do read them and answer them. We answer them online, but we also answer them afterward if we have the opportunity. So
because she's the nice one.
The first one was from an interview with a younger villager. Goofy Girl asked, on a side note, is that a bird making that noise in the background? So we're in the same spot we were when we did that video.
Mm-hmm.
Today we have different birds. I don't know what kind those are, but they're very chirpy, sweet. I love to wake up to them in the morning.
Yep.
But the birds that they heard were sandhill cranes. And
they are loud.
They are loud. I never knew that. They're like super peaceful birds. They just kind of walk around. And I think they're like very monogamous. I think they just are the two birds because it's usually there's the two birds and then a baby and stuff. But they squawk.
They do. And they do it while they're flying, while they're landing. And I can't believe sometimes people are saying they can't hear us in our microphones when that bird wasn't like right outside the door. But boy, that picked it up. And along with that, with sandhill cranes, this is my thing. They are a protected bird. Here I go again. And the fine for feeding sandhill cranes is $500 and 60 days in jail. The offense is considered a second-degree misdemeanor.
That's interesting. Because I know that there's the one house that we always see that we know that they feed them. But one time we were on, and it was on Tierra. And well, there's that one, but then we were on, I can't remember, like the 16th, the par 3 there, and the birds, there were like 4 of them, and they were standing at the edge of the yard squawking. And so those people fed them because it was like dinner time.
Yep. Feed me.
Yeah. So anyway, so please don't feed the birds, but that's what it was. Sandhill crane.
Okay, the next one is the shadow. Is that an IG?
I think so.
Interesting. How would residents feel about someone in their late 30s moving there? I am male, child-free, and single. So I don't think anyone would care because there are some. The only thing you can't have are children, so under 19. And I don't think anybody would care if you came down here. And if you want to be in a community that is children-free and as easy to live in as this, and while you're still working, come on down. What do you think?
Yep, I totally agree. I think he I abbreviated a bit of his question, but he went on to say that he works remotely and that he works with older people in whatever his career was. And so he said he had no problem being, that's the only thing. You're going to be around a bunch of people that are not your age, you know, typically. Yeah. So you're going to be around older people, but as long as you're good with that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody here, most people, I will say, there's always the few. I know I got the stink eye when I was in my mid 40s when we lived here.
Too.
And but overall, I don't think anybody cares. I think if you're a good human and you're, do your part.
Right. And
all good.
The Florida law, I think it has to be 20% have to be
80% have to
be over, and so 20% can be under.
And that's so that they can consider it a retirement community. And that has to do with the taxes funding the schools and things like that.
Yep. So come on down.
Yep. Faye Gallagher on the same video wondered if you could suggest an area that would suit a young 64-year-old and a young 70-year-old who love walking. We are trying to rent next February and March and check out the villages. So we have talked about this. Unfortunately, the northern area of the villages is not very conducive to walking.
No.
Most parts of it. There are paths, but you are mostly involved with golf carts and bicycles and other, traffic basically. So if it was me and the walking was going to be my primary activity, I would definitely look in the southern area, the newer areas. They've been much more cognizant of building walking paths that are strictly walking paths, or things that are just bikes and walkers, no motor traffic, so no golf carts and things like that. So
no scooters.
Yeah, nothing like that. So that's where I would look if it was me.
And that I said the same thing. There's a lot of side streets here that you can, walk, but you don't want to walk on Morris, and there's just And as soon as they went down 466 south, then they started putting sidewalks in. So,
Yeah, like even in like the Mallory area and stuff, they do
Mhm.
have sidewalks and that, but and that not anything wrong with walking on the sidewalks either. But if you
No,
actually want walking paths,
yeah, they're all
I
south.
would
They're down
say the
south.
newer
Yeah,
section is
yeah.
definitely the place to go.
And always face traffic when you're walking.
Yeah, if you are walking on the street, walk toward the traffic.
Yes, you will be run down, trust me.
Yes.
The next one, Pam Cornelius, said, I thought you had to be 55 or older to buy in the Villages. And Erin is obviously younger than that. How was she able to buy a house there? Because her children were over 19. And just like we've answered the other questions. So,
Yep. So, and I will say, when I bought my house, I was under 55 at the time. I bought new construction, and at the time, and I don't know if they're still doing this or not.
you had the check?
They made me sign something that said I would not be here for more than 6 weeks out of the year. So,
Really?
living in it,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Yeah, because
So,
we had to sign. We had to. They made a phone call because I was 49, Mark was 51 when we bought. And I think way back then there weren't that many people that young buying, and they had to make a phone call. I don't know, it was the 80-20 thing or whatever, or it just got on the bat phone and made us feel
well,
important.
and in case you're curious how they track that, we all get a Village's ID. So we have to fill out information at closing on all of that stuff. So that's how
Yeah.
they're going to know what your age is. So there's
Right.
no thinking like, well, they'll never know. You know, they're going to know if you want a Village's ID. So as soon as you close, you go get your Village's ID, which if you don't have a Village's ID, then there's no amenities for you. So
Right. Yeah.
kind of defeats the whole purpose of being here, I think. So, but that's how they track it though, too, in case you're curious. Why don't you answer the next one too?
Laura Roz, our Jan's daughter and son-in-law there in Florida. And no, they are not. They still live in Iowa and they're still working. But they love coming here and they love going to open houses. So I can't really speak for them. Will they come here someday? Maybe, because his folks are here and of course we're here and his sister's here. So we'll see when they get to be retirement age. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's always nice to have our families here. And there
Yeah.
are several, and I think Erin mentioned that in that video, that there are several generational families here. I know somebody commented on it and said, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
we've got,
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 generations here. They do, or
Yeah,
and
'cause
was
it's
her grandparents or something were
Yeah,
here
her
first?
grandparents were there. So then her sons,
grandparents, her
it's
parents.
that's the
Yeah.
4th generation. Because he actually knew Mr. Schwartz because he lived right down the street. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Gary Christensen asked, do you find people west of the Mississippi buying houses in the Villages? Yes, they are from all over. My guess is Jan researched this to tell you the statistics, but every day in the paper, it's kind of neat. They'll do a story like about St. Louis, Missouri or whatever, and it'll show the little article about it. And then it says at the bottom, 1,280 villagers hail from
Right.
Missouri or whatever.
From that state.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat to watch. But yes, they're from all over.
Well, I am from west of the Mississippi. And Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, all that is west of the Mississippi. And there's quite a few people and that's a lot of those people also go down to Phoenix because it's that
closer that way
for them, or Texas.
Well, yeah, if you've got family, that's the problem. When you're retiring and moving to the warmer area, sometimes you still have left family behind. So.
Right. But the phone book here, the Villages phone book, lists you by alphabet and also by state. And they will show what state you're in. And then there's clubs probably for every state. So if you come from somewhere west of the Mississippi, you can look that club up.
Well, and in the paper, I always like to glance because I am just curious. Like Idaho, I think has just 75, 100, something like that. They're smaller.
I think Montana's like 30 or something, and we know
small.
2 of them. So
yeah, and so, but then Colorado's got quite a few, and so and California actually has a number as well. So I still think the biggest concentration of people that I've seen in the paper are New York and Pennsylvania. Those seem to be the 2 biggest numbers that I've seen.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think
and
those
Florida.
are the 2 biggest.
Although I did hear today that this year 10,000 people from New York have moved to Florida. Not necessarily here, but the whole state of Florida. Because it's warmer and cheaper.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Laura Lampy,
Another good question for Jan.
yeah, is the Iowa Club still active in the villages? And it is. And if you get on villagesIowaClub.com, you will see pictures and what's going on. And I'm sure you can join if you're from Iowa. I was born in Iowa, but lived in Missouri quite a few years. So I don't know which club I would join.
You can go to all of them.
In the Arkansas and Minnesota one too?
And then, just
I would just
trade insider secrets between the
Yeah,
states.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's very active. So
Matt Dudley asked, how young are the youngest people in the villages? Hard to know, honestly. I don't know of
19.
any place. Yeah, I don't know of any place that you can actually find that information, that's
Right.
public
Yep.
information. But I will say, they do have the average and the median, and
Mhm.
we had gone through that. Oh, Jan's got that. I was going to say we had gone through that before. But the youngest, I mean, there are some people here that are living with their parents,
Yep.
helping them out if they have medical issues and whatever, or they're just relocating to Florida with their parents until they find their place. They're staying. So, I mean, I would imagine,
Right,
there are
yeah.
people in their 20s here
Yep.
that are considered residents.
But right now, the average age is 62 for male and 60 for female, and that's the latest stat. So it's going down a little bit.
Yep, it
Yep.
has.
All right, the next is tour of Lake Sumter Landing, and Cynthia Amatrano.
Amatrano, I would say.
Are there only 3 squares? There are right now,
Mhm.
and then there's Sawgrass that I think was an experiment for the villages. It's not a square; it has a market and a couple restaurants. The golf pro shop is connected to it. It's a really nice little area.
We called it a square-ish. We did do a video on it.
Yeah.
And the market area is kind of like a food court. Like a food court at the
Mhm,
mall. It's
yeah.
kind of like that idea.
And-
You walk in and there's
Fresh market type
Mhm.
vegetables, and there is a 4th square that's going to be coming at Eastport. That used to be County Road 470, and they're renamed it. They renamed it Central Parkway. So then I thought maybe they'll call the new square Central Park, but I'm pretty sure that's already been used.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
Yeah.
they do tend to theme them. So
Mhm.
the first square was Spanish Springs, and it's the St. Augustine look. And basically, in my mind, that's what I kind of think they were going for. And then you've got Sumter Landing, which in my mind, I feel is like very New England.
Yep. Seaside.
Yeah, seaside beachy thing. And then you've got Brownwood, which is Texas country kind of thing.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see what that
Yeah.
what is it, Eastport?
Eastport.
That area seems like it's going to be like the center of the newer area, because they're talking about there's going to be I saw there's a new teaching facility for golf. So there's obviously going
Yeah.
to be
Like a
driving
Sarasota.
range with
Yeah.
Sarasota, all
Mhm.
that stuff. You'll be able to get fitted for clubs, etc. So that seems to be that's going to be the new hub. So if you're looking to move here within the next couple years, maybe keep your eye on that area if that's important to you.
Or if
be
if you're
better
not going to come in 2-3 years, it'll be up and running with businesses in there. I mean, when you buy in a new area, sometimes it takes a little
Yeah, you gotta
while
wait.
for the business to come in and the restaurants to come in.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we read on one of our videos, we had some information on that. I think it said that was scheduled to be completed by the end of 2024, I think.
Yeah.
Eastport, all the infrastructure, like the rec center, all the stuff around it. So
It seems like
I
in
don't
the paper
remember
all
for
the time
sure.
there's something
New
new
going on.
that's going to be built or almost built, or
Yeah.
we need to go down there.
Yeah, we will. Right now it's just a pile of dirt with dirt
Yeah.
movers.
Well,
So
actually, sand,
yes.
blowing sand.
Yes, beach sand. S. Miser asked, how cold was it? So when we did our tour at Lake Sumter Landing, it was
cold.
And I mean, okay, we're 2 Midwest girls, but I will
Mhm.
say there's a reason we live in Florida, and that's because I'm a big baby about the cold. But
Yeah.
what was it? It was like 35 or 40 that day.
It was pretty cold, and the wind was really cold. And when you stand by Lake Sumter, that wind's coming off
do
that
get
lake, and it is colder.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the wind hadn't been blowing, the sun was out. It's the sun is your heater here.
Yep.
But yeah, that was cold that
It was
day.
cold.
I
We
shivered
weren't
for,
lying.
I
We're
was,
not that good at acting.
and the longer you're here, the thinner your blood gets. I
Yeah.
used to think that was
A myth.
yeah, people made that up. I'm like, come on. But oh my gosh, my tolerance for cold is like, no. Um, okay, Kathy Briscoe, you said it was a cool day, but where are all the people? But we tend to go down there early, so we, I mean, we did have there were quite a few people there that early that morning. I mean, considering it was
There were
cold and
some people,
windy.
yeah, there's, well, because there's a Dunkin' Donut, or there's, I'm sorry, a Panera Bread and a Starbucks there. So
Yeah,
there is always that morning crowd that's there for breakfast and the Flying Biscuits there. So
yeah,
there were some people around, but honestly, when we do the videos like of the squares, what we try to do is go early in the morning before there's a bunch of people. So we're not getting, you can actually see what's happening and not see
yeah,
nothing but people packed in and things
yeah,
like that. But the squares are always busy. They are least busy in the mornings though,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because the stores weren't open yet. I think we were
Mm-mm.
there at like 8:30
I
or
think so. Yeah.
something, and the
Yep.
stores don't open typically until 9 or 10. And so yeah,
Yeah, and the restaurants, except if they serve breakfast, about 11 o'clock they
yep.
open up, and
So
then happy hour starts.
yep, we try to beat the peeps. So anyway, those are your June questions answered. As always, we ask you to like and subscribe. And if you do have questions, though, please feel free. Obviously, we answer them,
Mm-hmm.
and we do get back to you in the question sections, below right away. But then we do try to follow up with a video in case people aren't
Yeah.
looking at all the chatter below.
And sometimes there's a lot.
Yeah, sometimes there's too much.
So anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.